Thank you very much to once again to welcome you to MedZone African Motives. Today I want us to look at an essay question, Business Studies Grade 11. So, which is paper 2. So we are on paper 2. We're still on paper 2. So the paper was written in Eastern Cape, November 2024. Remember, we did question 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the same paper, which was written in November 2024. So this essay is a part of those questions that we did. So this is still what a preparation and revision, whereby we are preparing for the term 4 that you're going to write for business studies paper 2. So you know very well that the essay is section C. And you remember again that in section C, we are to choose only one question. There are 2 questions, which is question 5 and question 6, and then we are to choose one question. But as you are preparing for the upcoming exams, you are going to do both question 5 and question 6 of the section C. So that is that. So now let us get into our business. Section C, as it says, answer any question in this section. Then we're given a note, clearly indicate the question number of the question chosen. So if you are to choose question, let's say 5 or 6, clearly indicate that this is question 5, this is question 6. So that is that. So the answer to the question must start on a new page. Example, question 5 on a new page, or question 6 on a new page. So that is that. But remember, as you are going to attend both of question 5 and question 6. So that is that. So our question 5, that this business ventures transforming a business plan into an action plan. So we are given a case study, or I can say it's a scenario. Business that follow the project planning steps will ensure that completion of their task. A business plan is essential, very important, to ensure that proposed business goals are achieved. Planning tools provide guidelines on how to transform a business plan into an action plan. And the business use action plans to organize now their activities. So that is that. So it means this scenario or this case study that we're given is what we are going to mainly talk about on this essay. So let us move on. Write an essay on transforming a business plan into action plan in which you are going to include the following aspects. So we are given what the aspects. Here are our aspects that we are going to write our essay on. So make sure that the essay that you're going to write is going to include all these aspects that we are given. And as well, don't forget that when we are writing essay, we are going to write the essay on points form. Make those aspects that you are given the headings. So don't again forget that the essay must have what? Introduction and conclusion. So your body of your essay are the given aspects. Hope we are together on that. So here are the aspects that are given. Outline the project planning steps. Explain the purpose of a business plan. Discuss the importance of timelines and chart in the Gantt guides or work breakdown structure, which is WBS, that is work breakdown structure. Advise business on the importance of an action plan. So that is question 5, which we are now supposed to attend to it. So without wasting much time, let us attend to our question 5. I'm trying to say question 5 before we can come to question 6. Let us first start with question 5. So here we are on our section C. Section C, here are our answers. Mark the first question only, question 5. As we know that you have said, it's transforming a business plan into an action plan. So, like I've said, when you read essay, you first have to start with what? Introduction. And introduction is going to earn you 2 marks. So as we are going to talk about transforming a business into action plan, just talk about anything that talks about transforming a business plan into action plan. And that will give you 2 marks, simple as that. So to our answers, here is our introduction. A project planning steps will ensure that the business projects are completed successfully. A project planning, meaning planning is very important. A project that is planned is going to give what? A direction. And a project that is planned is going to make sure that the project is going to be completed successfully. So it was not going to have what? Problems. It is well planned. Again, a business plan is a written document which gives a comprehensive overview of proposed business. So we are saying a business plan is a written document which outlines the goals and strategies of what? Of a business. That is true that a business plan, for example, a bakery business plan explains its target market, setup cost, marketing strategy. That is that. Then it further on says, project managers use timelines and charts where we are talking about WBS as tools to get their job done. When we talk of WBS, we have said is a work breakdown structure, many of which are specific to a single company or a product. So we are saying a project management, it is what? A project management tools that talks about what? Timelines or charts or WBS. So tools that help schedule and track project tasks. For example, that a Gantt chart shows when each construction phase of a new store will start as well as end. Also here we're talking about an action plan. An action plan consists of checklist of steps or tasks that need to be executed in order to reach business goals. So if we are talking about a list of specific tasks to achieve business goals, for example, to increase sales, or a business list actions like launch social media ads and trains sales staff. So that is that. So that is how you can give what your introduction. You can give your introduction with the following points that you've just mentioned. You can pick one of the point here and that will earn you 2 marks. Now we are coming to 5.2. Now we are on our body where we are talking about project planning steps. Remember, now we are starting with our first aspect. As we can, it says outline project planning step. So meaning now we are attending to our first aspect where we are to outline project planning steps. So it says define. For us to outline our project plan, we are going to define the scope of the plan to be done, such as what? such as define what purpose first and last activities will be. Meaning to say, with this point, we are saying clearly state what the project will include and what it won't. With this point, we are saying clearly state what project will include and what it won't, and what it won't. That is that. When you're talking about define the scope of the plan to be done, such as define what purpose first and last activities will be. And also identify the project supporters, resources such as people, budget, and time, and what will be needed. Meaning to say, with this point, you're saying you identify project supporters. How are you going to do it? That is where you find people and groups who will fund the project. This is where right now you find people or groups who will fund and or support, who will fund or support the project. So that is that. So moving on, it says analyze now each main activity by breaking the project down into activities. It means now you're going to break the project into smaller. With this point, we are going to break project into smaller. We're going to break project into small and manageable tasks. And manageable tasks. That is how you're going to analyze main activity by breaking the project down, as it says, by breaking the project down into activities. So that is how we are going to break the project into smaller and manageable tasks. Hope we are together on that. Now it says, set time frames and determine how much time you will need to allocate to each activity. So now you're setting time frames. You are now setting what? Time frames. How are you going to set time frames? This is where by now you're going to decide. You're going to decide how long each task will take to complete. How long each task will take to complete. So that is that. Also now it says, set the milestones, targets such as what main completion point is. So meaning for us to set the milestone, for us to set milestone or targets, that is where we're going to decide, that is where we're going to identify key points. With this one, we're going to identify key points now, or goals to measure progress. That is that. So it further on saying, determine accountabilities, persons responsible for the decision made. Meaning to say, we are going to assign who is responsible for each task. We are going to assign who is responsible for for task, for each task, for each task that is done. Now we are moving on. Calculate the financial, human, and technical resources that need to be allocated and determine available resources. So it is one of the steps that you have to go through when you are planning what? A project. So with this one, whereby we are calculating and determining the resources, we work out what money. With this one, we work out what money, staff, and equipment are needed. And what is available. And what is available. And what is available. So that's that. Also, it says plot the activity schedule into Gantt charts. So when you are plotting the activities into Gantt charts, it simply says we are going to organize tasks and timelines visually. We are going to organize tasks and timelines visually. Also, it says execute a project plan. So when you are executing the project plan, it means you're going to start doing the planned task. That is that. Monitor the progress regularly, meaning to say we're going to check if the project is on track or not. Communicate and review project progress. So we're going to communicate and review progress by making sure that you are going to share updates and make improvements if needed. And then keep records of all activities. So we're going to keep records of activities whereby we are going to do what? Document everything. We're going to document everything for tracking and future reference. So those are the answers for project planning steps as our first aspect that we're asked to talk about. So any other relevant answers related to project planning steps are accepted. So that is that, and you are to earn your 12 marks. So let us come to another aspect. So another aspect, as we are done with this one, the second aspect is explain the purpose of business plan. So now we have to explain the purpose of business plan. So now you go to the answers and the purpose of business plan. 5.3. Purpose of business plan. So there we are on purpose of business plan. The first purpose, it says gain insight. How are we going to gain insight? Gain insight in the market and competition. This is going to help the owner. This is going to help the owner understand how business will operate and succeed. Obtain funding from investors and use to convince people of the profitability of the business, such as applying for finance and bank. So when you obtain the fund, that is where we're going to use, it is going to be used to convince, this one is going to be used to convince what? Investors. It's used to convince investors or banks. It's used to convince investors or banks to provide what? Financial support. Also, it further on says set realistic goals and objectives. So with this one, we are trying to say, guys, the business in setting are achievable short as well as long-term targets. Hope we are still on one page. It further on says, identify the right talent for moving business vision forward. So you identify what? The right talent. You're going to identify the right talent by making sure that as this is going to help determine what skills and people are needed for success. Let us move forward. Make correct decisions and manage the business. So you're going to make correct decision, whereby now you're going to provide information and make informed decisions and manage them effectively. Communicate the business plan to various stakeholders. Now we have to communicate the business plan. This is where we're going to explain the business idea clearly to partners, employees, or investors. Offers direction of a proposed business. That is that. Now we are offering what? Direction of proposed business. So that is that. Explain the business objectives and how it will operate. How the finances, resources will be handled, and of what the business aims to achieve. So if we are to explain the business objectives, it simply says you are going to state what the business aims to achieve. Used to check the performance of the business against set goals. So we are going to do that by making sure that we measure if the business is meeting its goals. Also, a tool used to sell or market the business. This is where we're trying by all means to attract customers, partners, investors by showing business potential. Also, identify possible strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And this is going to help analyze internal, external factors affecting the business. So those are the answers for aspect number 2, purpose of business plan, and you are to get your 12 marks. Simple as that. So now let us move on to another aspect. So now we are on aspect number 3. Discuss the importance of timelines and charts or work breakdown structure. So now we are on discuss the importance of timelines and charts or work breakdown. That when we are talking about the charts, when you're talking about a chart, which is this one, a chart. When you talk about a chart, it's a visual timeline. That a chart is what is a visual timeline that shows when each task will start and finish in a project. And finish in a project. So it's often drawn as a pie chart with time shown on top and task listed on the side. What is the purpose of this timeline and chart and charts? The purpose is to show sequence and duration of all project activities. It is to help the manager track progress and deadlines. It is there to identify which tasks depend on others. So also we have what we call what the work breakdown structure, which is called WBS. What is this WBS? as you have said, it's a work breakdown structure. It is a work breakdown structure. The work breakdown structure. And as it is a work breakdown structure, it means now it is a tool. It is a tool that breaks a large project into smaller. A large project into a smaller, or manageable task. Manageable tasks or activities. That's when you're talking about what? A work breakdown structure. So what is the purpose of this WBS? Is to organize work into clear sections, to make it easier to plan, schedule, and assign responsibility to ensure no task is forgotten. That is the importance of what? Of this WBS. So now let us go to our answers now. Let us go to our answers. Let us go to our answers. Here we are. Importance of planning tools and importance of timeline as a planning tool. That is where we are now. That is where we are now. So it says they help planners to project the dates in advance. So they help the planners to what? To come up with projections in advance. So you know that if they come up with the project dates, that is going to help us to make sure that we're going to be, we're going to make sure that we have a good budget, a good planning. Timelines serve as a planning tool that help to indicate the due date or date of completion for each short-term objectives and tasks. So that is the importance of timelines as a planning. Also, timelines keep information in order that it has to be in. So it helps us to keep the information in an order that it has to be in. These are also very well organized in timeline as well as sequence of events that the information could be in. It also assists project management in meeting their targets and exceed client expectations. So any other relevant related to the importance of timelines. So that is that. Also, the importance of GATT now. Remember, we talked about what? We did talk about what the GATT is all about, the GATT charts. So it's there to help us to prepare and understand. It's going to be easy for us to prepare and understand. Also, events are shown in a chronological order. Time needed for any activity is shown visually. Managers and team members can see which activities run concurrently. Team members can see who is responsible for each activity. Also, they show progress on activity and enable managers to monitor progress. Indicators can be used at a glance. So that is that. Under the importance of GATT planning. Or the importance of timelines and charts, which is work breakdown structure. These tools help project staff to project dates and set up, achieve set goals in advance. So projected dates will be now set. It is easy to come up with projected dates that you the project will start and finish it. So they are vital project managers as the business try to meet and exceed client expectations. Project managers use them as tools to get their jobs done, many of which are specific to single company or product. The Gantt chart shows progress on activity and enable managers to monitor progress. Timeline serves as a planning tool that helps to indicate due date of completion for each short-term objectives and tasks. Timelines keep information in a sequential order and dates on which an activity must be done. That is that. Now we are moving on to 5.5. Yeah, 5.5, of which talks about advise business on the importance of what? Action plan. Talks about what? Advise business on the importance of what? Action plan. So here we are with our answers, importance of action plan. So here are our importance of action plan. An action plan enables projects to be achieved within specific time. So they make sure that the project are going to be achieved in a specific time set. Business are able to prioritize activities according to their importance. So you're going to make sure that you're going to start with most important to less important what project, because you are saying business able to prioritize activities, or you're going to say you're going to start with the most important activities to less important activities. Also can help person responsible to be more organized. So that is the importance of action plan. It enables the person to be very much responsible and organized. Helps employees to focus on the right activities. Also, it's a control against which standards and performance can be measured. So it brings what? A control, where now the actual is going to face us, or standard is going to face us what? The actual performance. Then we are going to see what? The deviations, which will tell where now we are to make what? We are to take correct actions or not. Also, it identify problems that could occur. That is the importance of action plan. We are going to be able to rectify what? We are going to be able to rectify the problems, whereby it is going to be very important for us to identify where there are problems, and that will ensure that it will or enables us to make what? Correction. Act as a monitoring tool. That is true. The action plan acts what? As a monitoring tool. We can be able to monitor what? The performance with what? Action plan. That makes it possible to check the progress, so we can see whether we are still in line to what is expected. It enables the business to transfer their plans into action. That is that. It enables business to transfer the plans, to implement our plans into action. We put what we are planning into practice. It also enables business to think logically and identify gaps in the plan. That is true. It provides an opportunity for reflection of what has happened before and what actions have not helped. Also, it can bring together individual experts that are knowledgeable in the area of work. It builds consensus as everyone involved can contribute the ideas. It creates ownership or accountability by creating sense of individual or collective ownership plan, action plan. Also, it clarifies time scales that need to be done in order to achieve an objective. It identifies measures of success by providing a way of measuring progress towards that. So these are the importance of what? action plan. So you know very well that every essay has what? Conclusion. So now we are to conclude our essay. As we have started with introduction, it is also very important that we conclude. Our conclusion gives us 2 marks as well, same as introduction. So this is how we can conclude. The record keeping of all activities during project planning assists business with future projects. That is that. If you record all what is happening during the project planning, that as well will determine what? The future project. Where we're going to use what? The historical what activities for us to determine the future. The business plan serves as a roadmap, direction that provides direction to the business. Timelines help the team members to know what milestones need to be achieved and by where. The Gantt chart, which we have talked about, shows the start and the finish of terminal elements and the summary of element of a project. Also identify areas that need change. So this is all about what? Question 5. And you are to get what? Your 40 marks. You are to get your 40 marks. So now we are to attend to question 6. We are now to attend to question 6. So question 6 is business rules. Now we're going to talk about creative thinking and problem solving. So we are given a case study that we first have to start with. Business use routine thinking and creative thinking to solve their problems. So creative thinking has many advantages, and business can also apply TLV technique and the force field analysis as problem solving technique, and business should create what environment that stimulates creative thinking in the place. So this scenario or case study that we're given is what we are going to talk about on our AC. Meaning to say, we're going to talk about routine thinking, we're going to talk about creative thinking to solve problems. We are going to talk about advantages as well as disadvantages of as well as the business that can employ methods of techniques, that is TLV technique and force field analysis. Meaning to say, we are saying this scenario, this case study that you're given, it's all about what you're going to talk about in this essay. So it says write an essay on creative thinking and problem solving, which will include the following aspects. So here are the aspects that we are going to talk about on this essay. So make sure that your essay is going to include all these aspects. And don't forget that your essay should be in point form. And don't forget as well that your essay should have introduction and conclusion, which are going to earn you 2 marks. Introduction is 2 marks. The conclusion is 2 marks. Free 4 marks that you don't have to make sure that you don't grab them. Because with conclusion, you talk about anything that talks about creative thinking and problem solving as the topic that we are given. Hope we are together on that. So the first aspect is what outline the difference between routine thinking and creative thinking. But remember, before we can attend to this, we are going to first start by what? The introduction. Let us go to our answers. Here we are on question 6. Here we are on our question 6, business rules, creative thinking, and problem solving. So now we're going to talk about the introduction. The introduction, as we are given here, the business environment is is volatile and requires advanced problem-solving skills and creative thinking for effective solution. So that is that business environment needs you to have what you call problems, advanced problem solving, and have what creative thinking, so that we can come up with what very good quality solutions that are going to attend to our problems. Also, an advantage of creative thinking is to stimulate brain function of employees, managers, as they are continuously thinking of non-conventional solution. That is that. The use of field analysis is useful to overcome resistance to change. So whenever you're talking about the field analysis, that is whereby there is a change that needs to happen. Then you have to make sure that the employees are going to understand the change. So that is why we are saying it is to overcome resistance, because your employees will resist change. So how are you going to overcome that? That is where by now you're going to explain the importance of change to your employees. Also, creative thinking enables business to differentiate their products and develop new ways of doing things. That is that. So any other relevant introduction related to difference between routine thinking and creative thinking, advantages of creative thinking, application of delivery technique, post-field analysis, ways in which business can create the environment that stimulate creative thinking in the workplace. So that will earn you 2 marks. So that is that. So now let us move on to our aspects. We remember that the first aspect is about what difference between routine versus creative thinking. Routine versus creative thinking. So let us attend to them. So let us first start by what? Routine thinking. Let us first start by routine thinking. It says it refers to ordinary or everyday or conventional thinking where the focus is on logical thought and methodical way of doing things. That is that. So meaning we are talking about refers to ordinary and everyday thinking. So with this point, what we are trying to say is that this type of thinking uses common, well-known methods to solve problems instead of finding new ways. That is a routine thinking. For example, a manager always uses last year's marketing plan because it worked before. Are we together, grade 11s? That is that. That is what is routine thinking is all about. Also, it says it is where consistent, normal thinking is applied to specific situation. Meaning to say, routine thinking applies the same process or approach repeatedly for similar tasks or issues. For example, an employee completes daily reports using the same template every day. That is why it is well consistent. Normal thinking is applied on a specific situation. Let us move on. It requires business to apply old thinking to new patterns. Doing things the same way will lead to the same result because past decisions are used to solve current problems. So what this point means is that we are going to use old ideas to solve current problems. How so? It is because people rely on past decisions or experience instead of exploring new solutions. Let us give examples to make it more easy. Let's say a business continue to use a printed advertisement, even though most customers are now online. You see, we are still using old ideas to solve current problems. Hope we are still together, grade 11s. Let us move on to another point now. no new ideas or thought patterns are generated. It means what you are saying in short, it does not generate new ideas or approaches. There is a little creativity or innovation. Everything is done the usual way. For example, a company keeps producing the same product for years without adding a new features. Surely you understand about what routine thinking. So now let us come to creative thinking. Now let us come to creative thinking. With creative thinking, yes, it says it refers to looking at an opportunity, problem in a new or different way where new ideas are generated. So with this point, we say you look at the problems in a new, different way. How so? Creative thinkers explore fresh perspectives to find unique solutions. For example, let's say a restaurant starts offering meal kids customers can cook at home. You see, that is how we are looking at where we are looking at an opportunity or problem in a new or different way. Let us move on. The focus is on being creative, using one's imagination, insight, art, and music awareness to find solution unique challenges. So with this point, what you are trying to say is that you're using imagination, insight, and innovation. And this involves thinking beyond traditional ethics and using creativity to solve challenges. Let us come with an example to make it easy. A designer uses recycled materials to make eco-friendly fashion. Hope we are together. Also, it's further on says this process is used to come up with new ideas to solve problems in a way that is unusual and different from how things had been done before. So, meaning to say, we are saying we develop new ideas and methods. What it says is that creative thinking helps business come up with new strategies or products. For example, a phone company introduces foldable smartphones to attract more buyers. That is that. It further on says this results in exploring innovative ideas and different ways of doing things in order to obtain better results. So it explores innovative ways of doing things for better results. What it means is that it encourages experimenting and trying new methods to improve what performance. Example to make it more clear, a school uses virtual reality technology to make learning more interactive and fun. So that is that. So now let us move on. So we are moving on to another aspect under question 6. Under question 6. So here we are under question 6. Explain the advantages of creative thinking in the workplace. Advantages of creative thinking in the workplace. So let us go straight to our answers. So here we are on our answers. Advantages of creative thinking in the workplace. So it says, first advantage, better, unique, unconventional idea solutions are generated. It means we are saying what? It generates unique and innovative ideas or solutions. That's what it means. As we are saying, it generates unique and innovative ideas or solutions. What does that mean? It means employees think of new original ways to solve problems and improve process. For example, a team creates a new energy-saving product design. You see, I'm making use of example as to make you to understand more and more. Also, may give the business a competitive advantage if unusual or unique solutions or ideas or strategies are implemented. So what it means that one of the advantages of creative thinking, it gives a business what? Competitive advantage. It gives a business competitive advantage. It gives a business competitive advantage. So creative ideas help business stand out from its competitors. That is that. Let us bring examples into place to make it easy. A baker offers a personalized cake designs using 3D printing. You see, that makes a business to have what? Competitive advantage from its rivals, from its competitors. Complex business problems may be solved. Complex business may be solved. So with creative thinking, it means those problems that are very much challenging, very much difficult, it is easy for them to be solved. Productivity increases as management employees may quickly generate multiple ideas, which utilizes time, money more effectively. So now you're talking about what increases productivity, increases productivity. So it increases productivity as employees find smarter and faster ways to complete tasks, saving time and effort. For example, workers develop a new system that needs up packaging, that is that. Also, managers or employees have more confidence. They have more confidence as they live up to their full potential. So meaning to say, creative thinking builds what? It builds confidence. It builds confidence among employees. It builds confidence among the employees. Staff feel more valued, motivated when their creative ideas are accepted and are used. You see, for example, an employee gets confidence after their marketing idea boosts sales. Hope this is at your grade levels. It further on says managers will be better leaders as they will be able to handle manage changes positively and creatively. So that managers will be able to will be better leaders. Also, managers and employees can develop completely new outlook which may be applied to any task they may do. That is that. It leads to more positive attitudes as managers or employees feel that they have contributed towards what? Problem solving. Managers or employees have a feeling of great accomplishment, and they will not resist to obstruct the process once they solve the problem or contribute towards the success of the business. Managers or employees may keep up with fast changing technology. It also stimulates initiative from employees managers as they are continuously pushed out of their comfort zone. Creativity may lead to new inventions which improves general standard of living and can attract new ideas. So any relevant answer related to the advantage of creative thinking of place is accepted. So now let us move on to another aspect. So here we are on another aspect. Here we are on another aspect. Discuss how the business can apply the following problem-solving techniques. So we're going to talk about Delphi technique and as well as fault filter analysis. So let's quickly go to our answers. Let's quickly go to our answers. So here we are on the application of problem-solving technique, whereby you're going to start with what? The Delphi technique. So with Delphi technique, as it says, business must invite panel of experts. So to investigate or research the complaints from customers, means to say the business is going to select group of specialists with knowledge about the problem. So you're going to select what? A group of specialists with knowledge about the business. Let us make an example. A car company invites engineers and safety experts to review its car design. You see? So we are going to invite engineers because they have experience. They are expert. They're expert. And then they can know about what? About the car design. It further on says experts do not have to be in one place and will be conducted individually. So the experts can work from different locations, share their opinions individually. With this method, they don't meet what? Face to face. We are trying to avoid what? The dominance of other partners. So when they bring out their views, they should be at their respect places. So that is that. It further on says design a questionnaire consisting of questions on how to improve the quality of their products and distribute it to panel members. The experts. So we're saying you design questionnaire. A list of questionnaires is prepared to gather expert opinions on how to solve a problem or improve a product. That is that. Now request the panel to individually respond to the questionnaire and suggest improvements to the products or return it to the business. So now we are saying you are going to request those panel to individually respond to the questionnaire. Remember, our panels are those experts that we are talking about. To do what? To respond to questionnaires, and then they were going to suggest the improvements of the product. That is that. Summarize the response from the experts in a feedback report. So we summarize, we send a feedback and second questionnaire. So the summary report is sent back to the experts along with new or refined questions based on their first responses. So that is what we are trying to say. Also, send the feedback report and second set of questionnaires based on the feedback report to the panel members. That is where you repeat the process if necessary. The process of continuous second or third round until expert reach agreement or clear solution is found. That's why we are doing repeat. You repeat the process if necessary. Request the panel members to provide further inputs, ideas on how to improve the quality of products after they've studied results. Also, you distribute fed questionnaire. Also, you distribute what? The fed questionnaire based on the previous feedback from the second round. So that is that about what? Delphi technique method. Also, it further on says, prepare final summary feedback report with all methods to improve the quality of products. Business should choose the best solution proposal after reaching consensus. So that is that. So that is that. So now let us move on to another aspect. Let us move on to another aspect. Let us move on to another aspect. So here we are. Remember the other aspect where we're to talk about what force field analysis. And the last one, we are to recommend ways in which a business can create an environment that stimulates what creative thinking. So let us quickly go to our answers. Here we are on force field analysis. Here we are on our force field analysis. So force field analysis describes the current situation, problem, and the desired situation. So it describes the current situation, the problem that we have currently. So it identifies what is going to happen if there is no action taken. So what is going to happen if we are not to take action on the current problem that we have seen? So it lists all driving, prawns, and restraining cons forces that will support and resist the change. So it gives all driving changes that we have to take. What are the pros of that, the advantages of the changes, and how are we going to restrain, or cause forces so that will support the and resist the change? Because you find that we are to come up with the change to a problem that we are having currently. So employees must resist that change that we are coming up with. How are we going to do so that we are going to overcome that resistance to change? That is that. Discuss the key restraining forces and determine their strengths. Discuss the key driving forces and determine their strengths. That is true. You discuss restraining forces. What are the strength of the restraining forces, and what are the strengths of driving forces? That is very important. Allocate score to each using numerical scale where 1 is weak and 5 is strong. So this is where we're going to look at what the driving forces versus what the driving forces versus what the strength. We have said discuss restraining forces and determine their strengths. So we're going to say we're going to look at the restraining forces versus what driving forces, and then we're going to do that by allocating what the score to each forces in a numerical scale. Now, where are the positives and negatives? Then decide if the project is viable. That is that. Analyze the restraining forces and the best way of advising them. Explore the driving forces and the best way of advancing them. Choose the force with the highest score as the solution. If the restraining force is the one with highest score, then we have to go for restraining force. But if the driving force has high score, we have to go for driving force. That's what it simple says. If the project is viable, find ways to increase forces for change. Identify priorities and develop action plan. So any other relevant answers related to application of the force field analysis as a problem-solving technique is acceptable. So the last one, we asked to try by always to find the ways in which business can create environment that stimulate creative thinking. That is that. So that is that. So okay, now we are on ways in which business can create environmental and that stimulates creative thinking. So the first one, emphasize the importance of creative thinking to ensure that all staff know that all ideas will be heard. You emphasize the importance of creativity by ensuring that all staff know that all ideas will be heard. Make sure that all the ideas of everyone is heard. Inspire staff to come up with new ideas. Make sure that you inspire staff to bring in new ideas. That will help you to come up with what quality ideas. Allow the flow of ideas to come from the staff. Plan regular workshops so that brainstorming sessions can be held to generate new ideas. Have more workshops so that you can help with new ideas, so that you can solve the problem in such a way that is going to be helpful to the organization. Ensure that communication channels remain open by placing suggestion boxes around the workplace. So make use of suggestion boxes. That is where you can get what the opinions, ideas from all members. That is that. Train staff in innovative techniques with creative problem-solving skills, mind mapping, and lateral thinking. Encourage job swaps within the organization, study how other businesses are doing things. Encourage create alternative ways of working, doing things. Accommodate employees' ideas and try not to let anyone feel less important in the workplace. Respond enthusiastically to allow ideas and never let anyone feel less important. So don't make sure that everyone's idea is valued. Don't say others' ideas are not good, because that will let them down. That will let them feel less important. So now we are to conclude our question 6. As we have said, as we have started with introduction, so we are as well have to conclude. So with our conclusion, we're saying business using creative thinking allows for responding to challenges more successful than when using routine thinking. That is true. If we use creative thinking, it means we allow more ideas. We are not going to remain or stick to all the ways of doing things. Like if we are going for routine thinking. So it's very important to use what? Creative thinking, not routine thinking. Because with routine thinking, you are still staying with all the ways of doing things, of which is not going to help. Creative thinking enables business to keep abreast with latest developments in the market. As you know that customers' needs are changing. So as they are changing, technology is changing. So it's very important to go for creative thinking, not routine thinking. Delphi Technique uses a group of experts to agree on how to solve complex problems. That is true. As you know that you've said, when you're talking of group creative thinking, that is whereby we don't have previous data. We are not experienced. We are inexperienced. Then it forces us to go for those who are experienced, the experts, so that they can help us to solve a problem. A creative environment encourages staff to come up with new ideas, opinions, to solutions. So that is that. This is how we are expected to answer section C. So thank you very much for your time. Make sure that you're going to share with those who are concerned. And please, good people, let us hit the subscription button. Thank you very much.